both inside and outside a cell is very important, and this fluid amount is often determined by the amount of solutes outside of the cell. Solutes are the particles that are dissolved in a solvent, and together they form a solution. In body, these solutes are ions like sodium and potassium. There are three types of solutions that can occur in your body based on solid concentration. The first one is isotonic. Isotonic solution is one in which the concentration of solutes is the same both inside and outside of the cell. The second one is hypotonic. Hypotonic solution is one in which the concentration of solutes is greater inside of the cell than outside of it. And the last one is hypertonic. Hypertonic solution is one where the concentration of solutes is greater outside the cell than inside of the cell. In this case, a group of students was conducting an experiment to learn about the regulation of body water, and they were divided into 4 groups to drink 4 different types of solutions.
The first group of students were drank a normal fluid which is only 25 ml of distilled water. So the first investigation in this situation is effect on osmolarity. There is less water compared to absolute which is sodium in blood plasma. So the osmolarity of the blood plasma increase. In this situation, we can see that the inside of the cell is hypertonic relative to the outside of the blood plasma. Thus, water will move into the cell and causing it to swell. Second is about effect on blood volume. When we dehydrated, our blood volume can decrease, leading to drop in blood pressure. Moving on to the mechanism of the consuming low volume of normal fluid, which causes dehydration. Firstly, increasing plasma osmolarity and decreasing blood volume independently increases ADH release. Osmoreceptors in the anterior hypothalamus stimulate magnocellular neurons to secrete ADH. High ADH increases reabsorption of water and produces a low volume of highly concentrated urine. Reduction in blood volume also reduces the firing rate of the stretch receptors, thereby reducing the tonic inhibition and increasing ADH release. This causes water retention by the kidney. ADH also binds to vasopressin V1 receptors on the blood vessel, causing vasoconstriction, which is the constriction of the blood vessels. This action cannot raise blood volume by itself, but it helps to conserve water that is consumed and raises the pressure towards normal. Salt can be excreted in excess of water, which will return the plasma osmolarity towards normal.
When students drink isotonic fluid, does it affect on osmolarity and the blood volume? What effect on osmolarity? Isotonic solution of 0.9% of saline that consists of 150 millimole of sodium and 150 of millimole of chloride has the same osmolarity as plasma. When an isotonic solution is infused in body, the osmotic pressure on both inside and outside the cell is constant because the saline solution is isotonic to plasma. There is no shift occur, and water disperses itself according to sodium proportional distribution in interstitial and intravascular spaces. It's about 25% in intravascular and another 75% in interstitial fluid. Thus, the blood cell neither swell nor shrink. What effect on blood volume? Blood volume remains constant because due to water does not have osmotic pressure and no water movement to a plasma. The concentration of ion in plasma is not changed, and this is why the blood volume is constant.
Here is the mechanism of isotonic fluid. The concentration of sodium and chloride in intercellular space is similar to the percentage of sodium chloride dissolved in saline solution since it was an isotonic solution. Therefore, after drinking the solution, it will increase the extracellular fluid volume but not change without disrupting the concentration of ion or inducing the significant fluid changes between interstitial, intracellular, and intravascular spaces. Expansion of the extracellular fluid volume compartment leads to arterial pressure increases. This would affect and increases in hydrostatic peritubular capillary pressure. The oncotic pressure also increases because the vascular protein concentration decreases. Such modification result in reduced rate of sodium reabsorption in proximal tubules, and sodium secretion will increase.
Now, I will share the effect on the group of students who drank a water loaded which is 1 liter of distilled water. First, the effect on the blood volume. The blood volume will increase due to the consumption of water. Next, the effect on osmolarity. The blood osmolarity will decrease since distilled water have a low concentration of solid. It will cause the osmolarity of the blood decrease, and it will make the blood become hypotonic. Last, if the blood osmolarity is too low and blood volume is high, it may result water intoxication. Water intoxication is a state which excessive body water causes cells to swell dangerously, as is the case when neuron of the brain shrink. Swelling of the brain's neurons can result in mental confusion, seizures, coma, and possibly death.
Now, let's move to the mechanism if we take loaded water. Decrease blood osmolarity and increase blood volume independently decrease ADH level. When there is an increase in blood volume, the activity of atrial volume receptor will be decreased. Then, neurosecretory cells of hypothalamus synthesis less ADH. It will then decrease the release of ADH from the posterior pituitary gland. Late distal tubule and collecting duct of kidney become less permeable to water, which decrease water reabsorption, thus increase the urine volumes. This will cause increase of blood osmolarity and decrease blood volume.
For this video presentation, I would like to discuss the effect of salt in our body. Okay, firstly, when the salt is added to extracellular fluid, the blood osmolarity will increase. This creates an osmotic gradient and drives the fluid into the extracellular compartment. Okay, next, water diffuses from the cell to the extracellular compartment via osmosis. This action will make the cell shrink and increase the blood volume. The sodium will remain in the extracellular compartment, and the water movement will continuously via osmosis until it reaches the equilibrium. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Next, mechanism salt loaded. There will be two mechanisms. The first one, the increase of blood osmolarity will stimulate osmoreceptor in hypothalamus. This reaction will then stimulate the thirst receptor in hypothalamus. If the person increase water intake by drinking water, it will then increase the water in the body back to normal level and thus decrease blood osmolarity. The second mechanism is when the blood volume and blood osmolarity increase, the osmoreceptor in hypothalamus will detect this change and trigger the release of antidiuretic hormone ADH from the posterior pituitary gland. ADH activate membrane receptor on the collecting duct and increase aquaporin in collecting duct. This will make collecting duct and distal tubule more permeable to water, thus enhance the water reabsorption. Less reabsorption of natrium chloride in kidney will reduce urine volume and produce concentrated urine. As a result, blood osmolarity and blood volume decrease and turns to normal level.
Therefore, discovering the rules which control the movement of fluids is considered to be a huge jump in understanding the importance of water around us and also inside of our bodies. If we understand and implement these rules, we can see the truth of what Allah said in Quran in Surah An-Naml verse 88. It is the word of Allah who perfected all things. Verily, He is well acquainted with what you do.